Hi, this is Richard Kazami of the Old Astoria Neighborhood Association, and this is our monthly meeting. And we are sharing the meeting with Queens Together, one of the premier nonprofits is supporting small business in Queens. We're very, very pleased to be sharing this with them. And this particular um, meeting will feature a town hall with our wonderful Congresswoman, Carolyn Maloney. So we're very, very happy to have her with us. Before we start, though, I'd like to say we have a tradition in uh, the association of trying to support small business, and uh, in that vein, we like to bring on new businesses that open up in the neighborhood, okay, and give them a few minutes to explain what they're doing. And the 21st Street corridor, as we all know, is being built up, and there's quite a bit of commercial space on it. And one of the initial vendors who will be moving into one of these spaces is called Fit Club. And I'd like to bring on Dr. Kellen Scuttlebury, okay, Scantlebury, excuse me. And doctor, if you would like to explain a little bit of what Fit Club does, what you're all about, please go ahead.
Of course. Richard, I just want to say thank you personally for coming in, introducing yourself, and introducing me to this organization. It gives me great pride and joy as an historian to be speaking to everyone tonight and bringing a business that I care so passionately about to the neighborhood. So Fit Club is a physical therapy and sports performance company. We have locations in Chelsea, Manhattan, as well as Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And through the pandemic, there was a unique opportunity to bring the business to Astoria. So now we're here helping the Astoria community through physical therapy, personal training, acupuncture, chiropractic, as well as a gym membership, all in one roof. So I'd like to just share some information with you guys briefly about us and our services. So please just bear with me as I bring this up. Just let me know if you guys can see this. Can you see it?
We see it. Yeah, you should. Yeah, make the screen full screen. There you go.
All right. So Fit Club Inc. Again, we were established 4 years ago, and I'd like to say it started with a table and a dream. The dream being to provide 5-star health and fitness services to all here in New York City. I am the CEO, the founder. Again, my name is Dr. Kellen Scanterbury. My background is in athletics. I got a full scholarship to play college basketball at CW Post in Long Island. I graduated from Stony Brook with my doctorate degree in physical therapy and been practicing as a licensed physical therapist since 2013. Our brand of physical therapy is very progressive, very modern. We use a lot of technology. We use evidence-based practice. We combine fitness, chiro, acupuncture, so that it's a holistic approach to treatment. We don't believe in medications and passing you off to support staff. We treat our patients individually. We're not double booking and triple booking. We're spending 30 minutes at least of one-on-one time with every single patient during every single visit. We believe that is the key to getting New York City back to a more healthy and active lifestyle. Again, our team is made up of orthopedic specialists, strength and conditioning specialists, doctors of physical therapy, licensed acupuncturists, as well as chiropractors. What we do, so physical therapy, for those of you who have never been before, essentially you can combine massage therapy and personal training, and you smash those two things together, you have physical therapy. So we're putting hands on our patients to help stretch them, relieve overly tight muscles, help to increase activation for very weak muscles as well. And then we're combining that with expert level prescribed exercises. So those exercises are progressed over time to help you get stronger and help you accomplish all of your goals. This is our Chelsea location right here. Our mission, again, our mission is to help everyone live a more active lifestyle. A lot of patients come to us having gone to other physical therapy offices, and they feel like they're not getting the attention that they require. They feel like they're doing the exercises on their own and no one's helping them. They feel like there's no follow-ups, there's no email communication, no phone communication. So our mission was to make sure that we answered all these questions for our patients and clients and provided a service that you can call us, you can text us, you can email us outside of office hours, and we'll be there to help you. Again, every session is individualized so that no person feels like they're wasting their time going to physical therapy. Some of the frequently asked questions: do we accept insurance? The answer is yes. So Aetna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, Cigna, Oxford, GHI, and Medicare are all some of the insurances that we do accept. If we don't accept your insurance, we have payment plans as well as affordable out-of-pocket rates. Our maximum out-of-pocket cost for anyone right now is $60. We adjusted that with COVID to help people because not only were they hurting physically, but they were also hurting financially. So pre-COVID, we were 150 was the maximum we were charging. We've dropped that down significantly so that we can help out and give back to our community during a time of crisis. How often do I need to come? Typically, our patients come 2 to 3 times a week, depending on their injury. Some patients come in only 1 time a week, who are, past that acute stage of pain and inflammation. This is a big one here. Do I need a referral? Most people think that they need a referral for to come to physical therapy. So New York State is actually a direct access state. So you can sprain your ankle on Sunday and go see a doctor of physical therapy on Monday with no referral. All we would do is check to make sure that your benefits are active, but 95% of these insurance plans do not require a referral. The only caveat is Medicare. Medicare, 100%, you need a referral to come to physical therapy, but the other insurances, you do not. Some of the things that we help our patients with: improve life, quality of life. We basically want to add years to your life, right? And add quality years to your life. Tons of patients come to us with pain. I can't pick up my kids. I can't play with my grandkids. I want to run a marathon. I'm training for a marathon. What we do is help people live a more active and efficient lifestyle. Again, it's all natural, it's all holistic, and it's honestly, it's a lot of the patient, the individual doing a lot of the work, and we're guiding you through that process. Again, it's very empowering. We want to make sure that we take a bunch of videos and we give that to our patients so that you guys have like a home exercise program on your phone, videos, comments. Again, we're a very tech heavy, tech savvy company, and we found that a lot of our patients really enjoy having these videos at home. So anytime they have questions, they can just go to their home exercise programs that we tape and record for them on their phone. Again, assistance is provided not only inside of our office hours, but outside of our office hours via text, via phone, or via email. Outside of physical therapy, we also, one of our main services that we also offer is personal training. A lot of our patients, clients transition from physical therapy to personal training. They love working with our team. They love working with our staff. They love the environment, the culture that we've created inside the office. So it's a seamless transition for someone who's post-op ACL surgery or herniated disc or total knee replacement to start with physical therapy. And then once we reduce their pain, improve their function, then seamlessly transition to more personal training, working on weight loss goals, strength goals, range of motion goals. Nutrition is something that we definitely talk about with all of our patients, all of our clients. I tell most of my team as well as my clients and patients, 30% of, the goals that you're going to achieve is going to be with the work that you put into here. 70% is going to be what you eat and what you put into your body. So we're constantly talking to patients and clients about their macronutrients, their carbs, their fats, their proteins, what sort of percentages of each they should be ingesting into their body for their goals as well. These are just some examples of some healthy snacks. In particular, two that I really, really, really love are your Greek yogurts, especially those that are low in fat, high in protein, and you can then double that into a shake. Again, protein supplementation is huge. So many people aren't building muscle, and it's because they just aren't getting enough protein. So again, these are two little tidbits that I wanted to share with this group. Greek yogurt, very easy way to increase your protein intake, as well as smoothies, especially smoothies that are coupled with either a vegan protein or a whey protein. Two easy ways to increase your lean muscle mass, which will help you burn more calories at rest. Sports massage, another one of our services. We also have massage therapists on site. So the marathon just happened on Sunday. We've had so many people bringing in their medals, taking advantage of our sports massage as well as our massage services, just for some post-race, post-marathon recovery. That's something that is also provided here in Astoria as well. And here's some of the info. I didn't realize I didn't have the address on here. I can send Richard the address as well, but it's 2103 31st Ave, right on the corner of 31st Avenue and 21st Street here in Astoria. Again, I'm a local Astorian. I live right on 31st Street. I've been here since 2013. I love Astoria. Have 3 kids, a beautiful wife here in the neighborhood. So we're really looking to give back and continue to impact this community in such a positive way. Richard, again, thank you so much for the time tonight. This was amazing. Again, if anyone has any specific questions, please feel free to email me, go to our website, or give us a call using the information listed here. I'm looking forward to hopefully meeting more of you guys in person, in real life, and helping you along your journey through health and fitness. Thank you guys so much.
Hey, thank you, Kellen. Thank you, Dr. Kellen. Yeah, and listen, if you want to, Victor, if you want to throw that information in the comments section, then people can pick it up. Again, we urge everyone in Astoria to do all they can to support local business. It's what it's all about. We thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further to that, Old Astoria Neighborhood Association was established about 6 years ago, and we basically cover the area from Steinway and 20th Avenue along the waterfront right down to Queensboro Plaza. And you know, we've also worked hard to support, again, local business and quality of life issues. We've dealt with many of them. If you ever have any issues, you can reach out to us. Our information is on the flyer, or however you found out about this broadcast. Also, Victor can put our contact information in comments. And along those lines, one of the best stories that came out of the pandemic was the Jonathan Forgash and the formation of Queens Together, with with the work that they did for the community, for both the small businesses and restaurants, and the people in need who needed help. This is a perfect storm. You created an organization that I think will be a force in Queens and in New York City for many years to come. And I'd like to bring out Jonathan right now, who's we're co-hosting this town hall with. Jonathan?
Yeah, Richard, thank you so much. You know, Old Astoria Neighborhood Association, it's a really important part of our neighborhood here in Astoria. You've created a space to share knowledge and ideas with each other and our elected officials from Astoria all the way down to DC. And you're a real asset, and we really thank you for the work that you've been doing for the past 6 years. And thank you for hosting tonight. You know, we're really pleased to be a part of this town hall. Queens Together, like Richard said, we're a nonprofit that started when COVID-19 shut down New York City. We are an association of restaurants supporting each other in business and feeding communities in crisis. To date, we've helped feed over 200,000 Queens residents via our restaurants, volunteers, and community partnerships. We hope to grow in the years to come and do more work in our communities. We are honored to have Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney with us tonight. Thank you for making time to listen and talk about what's going on. I, for one, would like to hear about plans to prepare for future storms and what Congress will be doing to support our small businesses now and in the future. And just a little story. I want everyone to know that even though we're meeting here online for safety reasons, Carolyn was out there with us at the height of COVID. In the summer of 2020, we were doing a food pantry at the Boys and Girls Club in Astoria. And, you know, she didn't just show up. She showed up and she waited till we were done, and she sat with us. She wanted to hear what was going on and what we needed on the ground in our neighborhood. And the Congresswoman was the only elected official to do that. And we are really grateful for her support in Astoria and the rest of New York City. So thank you. Richard, back to you.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I also want to mention quickly that Jonathan is the reason we're doing this event. He came to me with this idea, and we really appreciate it. So, and we hope this is the first of many collaborations in the future. So,
Absolutely.
Thanks, Jonathan. Okay, and now for our featured event, we'd like to bring out Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney. She's been our representative for many years. I've known Carolyn for, well, probably 10, 15 years, something like that. And really, there's nobody harder working. There's nobody really looking out for the interests of our community like Carolyn. So Carolyn, would you like to join us?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be there. Hey, and hello to everyone. And it's great to join you this evening. And I especially want to thank Queens Together and Old Astoria Neighborhood Association for hosting this and your help in bringing our community together every day, every week. Jonathan Forgash and Richard Kuzami are pillars in our community who have served Western Queens throughout the COVID-19 crisis and beyond. In fact, I was just with Jonathan last night when he was honored by the Astoria Welfare Society. Richard and I have worked together with the mayor to establish a ferry connection between Astoria and the Upper East Side. As much as I'm sure we are all tired of Zoom meetings, I am thankful that it has given us the opportunity to connect even when I have to be in Washington working. I thought I would give a quick update on things going on in DC and things I'm working on. And then most importantly, I want to have plenty of time to hear all of your concerns and your questions. Last week was a big week in the House. Late Friday night, we passed the Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, sending this important legislation to the president for his signature. Throughout my career, I've helped secure more than $10 billion in federal funding to the city of New York, just for my district alone. And the rescue plan, it was over $100 billion. But this money has come for a wide array of infrastructure investments, projects that created jobs, improved the quality of life, reduced overcrowding, and improved safety. This includes getting an F train stop at Queensbridge, connecting Queens and Manhattan, building the 31st Street Park, and finally finishing East Side access coming to you in mid-2022. I was on the first ride this past week with Governor Hochul coming in from the LIRR into Grand Central. There are few better ways to improve our communities and create good paying jobs than infrastructure investments, and this bill will do just that. The bill is a major investment into all aspects of our infrastructure system. The bill makes the largest federal investment in public transit ever, makes the largest federal investment in passenger rail since the creation of Amtrak, and it makes the largest investment in clean drinking water and wastewater infrastructure in American history. And I've got to say that we really need that. In fact, I just had a meeting with the mayor's office and Jonathan Forgash on ways we can repair wastewater management in Queens after the devastation of Hurricane Ida. The bill also ensures every American has access to reliable, high-speed internet, bringing this vital service to thousands of families in Queens. When I was in school, you just needed a pencil. Now you need the internet, you need high-speed internet, and we will be able to bring that to our students. And helps us tackle the climate crisis by making the largest investment in clean energy transmission and electric infrastructure in history. Friday night, we also took the next step in advancing the president's Build Back Better Act, and we plan to pass that on the floor next week. The Build Back Better Act makes a range of investments in our working families, in affordable housing and climate change, and in our children, amongst other provisions. This is the social infrastructure of our nation, and we can't afford to leave any of it behind. My oversight committee approved a number of provisions related to electric vehicles. It will also completely electrify the vehicles of the post office. And it also focused on environmental justice, of which Queens deserves a lot of help. And I'll be fighting to keep those parts of the bill there. Overall, it's over $550 billion in clean energy and climate change ways to attack it. I also serve on the Financial Services Committee, and I've been fighting for affordable housing provisions as part of that package. In particular, our committee approved funds that will help eliminate the public housing capital needs backlog nationwide, including New York City's Housing Authority. I have long said that housing is a human right for all New Yorkers, which is why I'm proud to have helped build 4 affordable senior housing developments in Queens, with another one being planned and on the way. I've also been fighting to expand our investments in climate change in the Build Back Better Act, as well as ensuring we fully fund the World Trade Center Health Program to help the heroes and heroines, many of whom are cops and police officers that live in Queens, of 9/11. As many of you know, I'm also honored to chair the House Oversight and Reform Committee. 2 weeks ago, we held an oversight hearing on the role of fossil fuel companies in the global climate change crisis. 4 of the top oil and gas CEOs, Chevron, BP, Exxon, and Mobil, all testified under oath. This was the first time that all 4 came in front of Congress to testify about the climate crisis in history. We grilled them on their decades of misinformation and damaging American communities while reaping massive profits at our expense. And last week, I signed subpoenas that we are issuing to the oil companies and industry trade groups for key documents related to their conduct around the climate crisis. The fight isn't over yet, and I'm determined to get to the truth and to find out the truth. The effects of climate change is something we know all too well in Western Queens. Our children have suffered for generations the polluted air produced by the dangerous fossil fuel peaker plants, the worst one being Big Alice, which I am determined to shut down. We did have an important victory recently with the failed proposal of the Astoria NRG plant. There are 28 plants within a mile in Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez's in my districts. This is awful and making our residents sick with asthma. That's why we have a whole neighborhood called Asthma Alley. And I really think that I'm working on a bill that would say you could only have 1 of these per mile. We have 28 of them within a mile. And one of the ways we were able to close down the peaker plant that they were proposing is that we were showing the law is that the state only has to show the impact of 1 peaker plant. And we, in my testimony and documents that we put in, showed the impact of all the peaker plants. It should be looking at all the peaker plants, not just the one that they were trying to build. I'll end my remarks there. I want to again thank Queens Together and the Old Astoria Neighborhood Association for everything they do for the community and for having me tonight. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you and hearing what's on your mind. Thank you again for joining the call tonight. It is truly my honor to represent you in Congress. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Okay, the way the procedure was is that we asked for you in the audience to submit questions, and they were submitted, and we've gone through the questions, and we have a number to ask here. So without further ado, I would like to start asking these questions, okay? First, a few people, including Marie Lacella and Tony Caesar, posed questions about issues relating to homelessness and housing. There is often a city issue, but what federal funding and programs are available, or what are you working on that would expand services and affordable housing to address community issues such as homelessness and housing insecurity?
I have always been a champion of housing investments, and that's why I'm particularly excited about the Build Back Better Act. This act includes $150 billion for housing, B as in boy for billions. And this bill came through the committee on which I serve, the Financial Services Committee. This framework will enable the construction, rehab, and improvement of more than 1 million affordable homes, boosting housing supply and reducing price pressures for renters and homeowners. It's also going to make a historical investment in rental assistance, expanding vouchers to hundreds of thousands of additional families. More than 400,000 New Yorkers reside in NYCHA, New York City's housing authority. There are public housing developments across the city's 5 boroughs, of which 3 are in my district in Queens. The Build Back Better Act contains dedicated funds to address capital needs throughout our public housing units, and I'm confident New York will receive a large amount of that assistance. Overall, $65 billion is in this program, and we were pushing for over $35 billion just for New York alone. Christopher Harper, I understand, has a question.
Christina Harper, yes, she submitted a question, and the question is, you are a leader in the fight for cleaner power. What are you going to do to get rid of polluting power plants in Astoria? And what are the next steps beyond that to create a cleaner environment?
Well, Christina, you hit at really the biggest environmental problem we have, and that's the polluting fossil fuel plants, of which Big Alice is the worst. And I've been calling, along with other electeds, to close Big Alice and to stop it. And as chairwoman of the Oversight Committee, I held a roundtable in New York with Representative Ocasio-Cortez about the damage inflicted by Big Alice, the stories that I heard of the health problems and soot and the impact on healthcare. One resident said when she came, she's a great-grandmother now, if the air was clean, now her children are on breathalators, or rather her grandchildren on breathalators. So we need to close Big Alice, period. And I have spoken directly to the governor about this, about the need to close Big Alice and the other major power plants that surround my district. I've invited her to come and visit it and see it firsthand herself. I also wrote to NYSERDA expressing my disappointment that the projects that were chosen to move forward with the environmental improvement did not include a promise to shut down Big Alice. And I'm actively working with others to explore ways to close Big Alice. I am working on yet another hearing in my district on the power plants, hopefully coming up soon.
Oh, thank you. The next question is from Eric Burton. It says, what are you doing to increase vaccination rates in your district, particularly here in Western Queens?
Well, we have sponsored a number of vaccination days and buses and sites. We brought them to Queensbridge and Ravenswood and Astoria houses for vaccinations there. And I've been working hard to open up a vaccination site, a permanent one at Astoria houses. It's one of the most underserved of sites in my district, in the whole city. And we hope to make that happen. I have a meeting with the mayor's office tomorrow on it. The governor's office is also going to be in that meeting. And we hope to open up a facility similar to the one we have at Queensbridge. I was able to bring with the floating hospital, funding it federally, a hospital site right on premises, right there for vaccinations, testing, and really plain good needed medical care. I would like to be able to bring one to every single housing development in my district. I'm starting with Queensbridge, which we've succeeded, and I'm working now on Astoria houses.
Thank you. Next question is from Jan Weinrich. What is included in the Build Back Better plan?
Well, it's very comprehensive, It's very comprehensive investment in American families, tremendous investment in fighting climate change, affordable housing, healthcare, and so much more. This includes things such as the extension of the expanded child tax credit, which would lift half the families in poverty out of poverty, public housing investments, which I discussed, provisions to expand electric fleets throughout the federal government and the Postal Service across the country. Prescription drug reforms. This hits every single family. And we capped the cost of insulin at $35, not the escalating prices that people cannot pay for this life-saving drug. Investments in childcare and so much more. This package is important to ensuring that we don't leave any of our families or communities behind as our country recovers. The final details are still being negotiated. At the end of last week, we secured a commitment to advance this legislation through the House next week, which is coming right up, and I hope the Senate will follow shortly. So help is on the way. One is down. We got to pass the second one this coming week.
Thank you. From Ern Ross, what plans do you have to follow up with the pilot program that you help initiate in Queensbridge, Ravenswood, and Astoria houses? It has been at best a limited success, according to many NYCHA residents. What other possible ways can the efficiency of NYCHA management be improved?
Well, I think that that's a very good question. You can have a lot of money, which we will have going to NYCHA, but you have to make sure that it's spent right. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I pushed for years for is to decentralize the housing repairs. When I was on the city council, each housing project had a housing office that did repairs. And then they centralized it, which meant that very little got done. So we have a pilot project now, and we don't have enough resources in it. And there's no easy answer for it. The data shows that the development specific skilled trades pilot program, which it's called, has resulted in close to 20% decrease in the time it's taken for repairs to be completed, a scale that can help address some of the backlogs we're seeing for residents waiting on repair work. And obviously, federal money is a big part of the equation too. And as I said earlier, I pushed the House Financial Services Committee to include $65 billion in Build Back Better to address the capital needs of public housing. Mm-hmm. And a big portion of that money will be coming to New York. And as I said, I am pushing to have a health center at every NYCHA development.
Well, as a comment, who better than the chair of the Oversight Committee to provide the oversight that's needed to create efficiencies in NYCHA and in general in everything that we do.
Great. So, I'm going to be working on that. You're right.
Good. Thank you. From the BCA community, what funding is currently available for Queens communities who face damage from Sandy and more recently Ida? What funding will be made available through BIF and or BBB for the necessary sewer and infrastructure improvements to recover from past flooding and prepare for future storms?
Well, I think that's a very, very good question. And it's one of the biggest problems we have in Queens. And just this week before on Monday, I met with the mayor's team, local electeds, Queens community leaders, including Jonathan Forgash, on ways to improve the infrastructure of the community. We need to continue meeting on that. There are federal, state, and city monies. We have to pull those monies together and start working together to make those improvements. We saw how terrible the impacts of Ida were, and throughout Queens, people were flooded in their basements because of the aging infrastructure. The bipartisan infrastructure bill that the House just passed and sent to the president contains a number of investments in our infrastructure needs, from roads and bridges to trains and our wastewater system. Once enacted, I'll be working with the governor, mayor, and on down to ensure Astoria and Queens get the support it needs to repair its infrastructure. In terms of Ida, depending on if you are an individual or a business, FEMA does have assistance available. It's available for individuals, but not for businesses. We will be looking to try to expand it. I have their resources mentioned on my homepage. That's maloney.house.gov. And that provides information on how you can call my New York office, 212-860-0606, for support and how you would apply for assistance. In fact, this morning I went to Queens and met with PS1 MoMA about a grant that they are working on for their FEMA problems. And I'm willing to meet with anyone on their FEMA applications and help them in any way I possibly can.
Thank you. Another question. We know that you provided money time and time again to repair the seawall around Astoria houses. And as an aside, I personally remember all the work you did under the Queensbridge to repair that seawall, which took 20 years before you got there to get it done, which we really appreciate. Around Astoria House, consider resiliency on the peninsula a priority. How can we make sure NYCHA benefits from environmental improvements like green roofs and solar?
Okay, you're asking specifically about Astoria houses? Well,
I would say NYCHA Astoria houses is within the area of Old Astoria, but of course so is Ravenswood and Queensbridge. So yes,
okay.
I would say
I've worked with all of them.
Mhm.
$27 million to repair their roofs. And after Sandy, Astoria houses was really hit badly with the destroying many of their electric equipment. And we had that equipment moved to the roofs using the FEMA money. And as you know, the seawall, we've been working with the Army Corps of Engineers and the Mayor's Office to restore that. That is work under progress right now. And the Army Corps of Engineers, at my request, is doing a report on the whole waterfront of Astoria houses, because it is a peninsula and it is under constant erosion. And we need to understand how bad that is and what we need to do to plan for the future. We don't need these sinkholes to sort of appear and then we have to work hard to repair it. We'd like to anticipate it and fix it for earlier. I introduced the Public Housing Solar Equity Act to ensure that the NYCHA residents get the benefits for solar developments on NYCHA buildings. And what happened is that the federal government paid to really repair all the rooftops. And so the rooftops are being repaired throughout NYCHA housing. And they're going in and putting solar energy sites and equipment on these roofs. And the plan was that the money from that solar would go, into a not-for-profit that then sells it. But my bill would have it go directly to the NYCHA residents first, so that they benefited from the lower energy costs.
Good. Well, I totally, Old Astoria has always been very involved in the waterfront here in Western Queens. And, we greatly, appreciate your outlook and what you're doing, particularly the study that you've funded. We know that there's other places like Whitey Ford Field and Socrates Park that also have issues that need to be dealt with. But without your work, we would never have the ability to actually finish those things in a timely fashion. So we thank you so much for doing that. We look forward to us having the strongest waterfront in New York City. So,
well, and hasn't the ferries been great? And we finally got the stop between Manhattan and Queens. And it's sometimes I just get on it and ride because it's fun.
I know. It's a little 5-minute ride now to between Queens and the Upper East Side. It's tied together your district wonderfully, I'm sure, right? And,
right, exactly.
And we're lucky to have it. We'd like to thank yourself, the mayor, and the city council for creating the funding and the initiatives to do this. And we look forward to further expansion, even up into what we hope sometimes will be expanded to the Marine Air Terminal, LaGuardia. There's a lot of controversy over how to get there. I think using the ferry is a no-brainer, and I hope that we can build that out too very soon. Next, one other question here. As many saw, you were out front on the issue of making sure that our first responders' service and sacrifices on 9/11 were recognized through the Zadroga Act. Did I pronounce that correct? And last year, our first responders were faced with a different kind of trauma resulting from COVID-19 pandemic. What can we do to ensure that they provided with support now that we've put the worst of the pandemic behind us, God willing?
Well, I introduced the Zadroga Act, as you said, and it took me a long time to pass that bill, but I never gave up. Our first responders were there for us. We had to be there for them. And a lot of them live in Old Astoria. They live in Queens. Police, particularly fire and police, live there. So I was proud of that bill. And during the pandemic, I authored another bill for our pandemic heroes. I introduced the Pandemic Heroes Compensation Act, which was modeled on the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund. And this is to take care of those who risked their lives and safety during the pandemic. While many of us were safely in our apartments or our homes, they were out working, sanitation workers, the retail workers, the grocery store workers, the postal workers, delivering the mail and interacting with many people that did not wear protective equipment. And many of them became sick and many of them died. And this would provide support and compensation to them. So I'm working hard to pass them. Always a lot of struggles, always a lot of goals. It has been great talking to you, Richard.
It was an iconic vision to see you with your fireman's jacket on. So I remember that, and it was great. Another question that's coming up is how would you describe the oversight committee and what its duties are? I'd like people to really know, what you do in Washington, what the responsibilities are, and how the Oversight Committee affects almost every other committee and every aspect of Congress, at least of the House.
Well, the Oversight is the committee that conducts the investigations and the research. And it really, when we try to pass something, we work as a team. For example, one of the big parts of our Build Back Better bill is lowering prescription drug costs. This affects everyone. And the Oversight Committee does the research that builds the case for the bills. We did a series, I'm just using this one example. We did a series of hearings with all the drug companies showing how they were not investing in research. They were just investing and raising their pay and giving stock buybacks to their shareholders. They were not investing in research like they said, and we proved that. We also showed how there was no ceiling on what they were doing. We did studies that showed how foreign countries are able to negotiate lower prices than we are. So we pay for the research, we do this, that, and the other, and then they get the drugs lower than America does. Many of our residents purchase their drugs from Canada, Mexico, or Europe because the prices are lower. Probably one of the most riveting hearings that we had was a mother whose daughter had died because she could not get the insulin that she needed because it was so costly, hundreds of dollars. Yet it was discovered years ago and given away by a scientist to people because it was so needed. Yet the drug companies had bought it, gouged it, run up the price. One of the things that we do in this new bill would limit what you can charge for a dosage of insulin to $35. Some drug companies were charging hundreds and hundreds of dollars for it that people could not afford. Her daughter literally died because she couldn't get or afford the insulin she needed. And that should not happen in one of the wealthiest countries in the world. So we do the research on it. Most recently, we have all these efforts to improve the environment. We have over $550 billion in climate change initiatives, but a lot of the legislation is stopped by the oil companies that were putting out misinformation saying that that climate change wasn't real. And at my last hearing, I got them all to admit that it is real, and they would not admit to or pledge not to continue funding misinformation, but we will be trying to show the misinformation that is out there about climate change that is often put out there by the petroleum industry. So a lot of the reforms come out of the investigation committee and a lot of the oversight. I guess one of our biggest roles was $350 billion went through my committee in the American Rescue Act that went to cities and states and tribes and territories. And one of the things that I did in that bill was say that the money had to go directly to the cities, so it couldn't be stopped by a governor and siphoned off into other areas. That was very helpful in the $5.5 billion that came to the city of New York.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have a couple questions here that came in the chat. Okay. One question here is, do you support single-payer healthcare?
Yes. And I've been a co-sponsor of that bill for a long, long time. We haven't been able to pass it. We did pass the Affordable Care Act, and there are constant efforts by the Republicans to repeal that, roll it back, court challenges. But I do support it. It's more efficient, and I do support it.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of it. I think OANA, most of our members are. I don't think that it's the job of small business and business to have to deal with that. I think that's something that should be in the government's hand. I think we're the only country in the world that forces our business people to deal with healthcare, and it just makes absolutely no sense. I've often wondered why the Republicans don't support it. They are supposed to be the party of business, but it makes no sense to me. I don't understand what they're doing. Anyways, beyond that.
Could I
Yeah.
throw in here on
Yeah.
small businesses, because I know that's a passion of yours, that an important part of the American Rescue Plan was the so-called PPP plan, which was a direct grant, basically, to small business to help them pay their personnel, keep their doors open. And the Small Business Administration has a number of small business grants. And then, of course, the restaurant grant program, we ran out of money, I think, the first day, and we're working to try to get it replenished. But those are some of the things that I've been working with the Queens Chamber of Commerce to get out to the small businesses.
Great, good. Speaking of that and small business, how about this? Astoria is known as one of the top neighborhoods for restaurants and food and small businesses in New York City. Do you have a favorite restaurant that you'd like to hang out here in Astoria with?
Wow, they're just so
Or
many.
kind of food?
I like Greek food. I like stamatis. That's one of my favorites. And I don't know. It's hard to mention favorites because they're all good. But it really has wonderful national foods, I would say. Italian restaurants and Bangladeshi restaurants. And they're just excellent, excellent restaurants.
Good. Yeah. Okay. Let me see. I think that there's a couple other questions here. Let me check one thing here. Under comments, sorry. There are some questions here. I don't know that there's so much in the purview of the federal government, though, but I can throw them at you, and maybe you might be able to comment on them. One from Melissa Perazzo is ask if you have any influence with the MTA to completely overhaul their signage.
Well, the MTA, as you know, is an agreement between the state and the city, and they just built the LIRR extension connection that I wrote on, which is a phenomenal achievement. Their signage, everybody listens. I think one of the things that I'm all for the community voicing their concerns, and the community boards are a place where you can pass a resolution on the signage that then goes to the MTA. So I would suggest, if she's not happy with the signage, to work on a resolution with some community board members, of which you are one.
I am, yes.
So you could work with her on that and start there, as we started in the community board on the Astoria Manhattan connection, as we started in the community board on the entrance into Queens on 31st Street, that park where I got the federal money for that came from the community board. A good place to start for a lot of these concerns is the community board, and I pledge to work with her once the community board, says that's what they want too.
Good.
The community board, I think, is a great tool for the city government and for elected officials to hear directly from people what they need and want. But then it has to be supported by the whole board, right, to move forward.
Indeed. I've been there 22 years, and it is it's a living thing. It changes all the time. It's gone through a lot of changes. Right now, it's very progressive, and it's a lot of great ideas. It's a lot of new blood in there. It's much more diverse than it's ever been before, and I really think it's doing very well. So,
and that
I'm glad to be
reminds
part of
me,
it.
I have some community boards I'm supposed to jump in on. I like to jump
Okay.
in on yours as much as I can,
Mhm.
but I'm going to have to sign off and go to a community board meeting. So
Very good.
I'm gonna
Okay.
thank you for having me. I was thrilled to be here. Thank you, Richard, for all of your work, and Jonathan for all of his work. I think you do incredible work for our community, and I want to express the gratitude of the people I have the honor of working for to say thank you for everything you've done, and thank you for having me tonight. And invite me back another time.
Anytime. We
I'm going
greatly
to run off to
appreciate
a
it.
few more meetings. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Anybody that asked a question on the chat, we will take a record of it if we didn't have a chance to answer it, and we'll forward it to the Congresswoman's office. I'm not sure that all of them were in the purview of the federal government, but we will do the best we can to send the information out. Since we don't have people's email addresses, we generally post these responses on our website that are reachable through social media. So you can look for them there in the next few weeks. I'd also like to bring Jonathan Forgash, if he's available, if he can come back up. I'd like to have him make a few comments before we say for a night. Is Jonathan still here?
Yeah, I'm right here, Richard.
Good. So I think there was some good news for small business there, and I know that you are working hard with the Congresswoman's office to establish the programs to bring these to light. Also, I know that you're working with the New York City Hospitality Alliance. I know they're having an event tomorrow at Catch, as a matter of fact, in order to discuss funding in the future for our small business here. It's such an important part of what we do. You have any comments?
Yeah, I would say we're really lucky. I mean, we have in our district the most powerful congressperson, Carolyn Maloney, working for us. We have Andrew Ridgie at the Hospitality Alliance, really defending and stepping up for our restaurant industry. They've gotten so many bills passed in the state and the city, and even speaking with Congress. I think we're in a really strong place moving forward. There's a lot of work that needs to get done, but fortunately, the people in charge are listening. They're here with us. We saw it tonight. Carolyn's done a great job. We really need to see what's going to happen with the infrastructure bill on the ground here in our neighborhood. I would like to see more done for storm preparedness, for the businesses. I would like to see more done for subsidized flood insurance for the businesses. I would like to see some version of FEMA for small business. The loans we were offered as opposed to the grants that FEMA gave out was ridiculous. Our small businesses are the moms and pops and neighbors in our communities, and they need as much support as any other resident. And I'm really pushing for that.
I think one other thing too is that's been discussed a lot is commercial rent stabilization, which is an interesting concept. I would say this: I'm in favor of it, but one thing that was old Astoria, as our board has talked about, is it is fine as long as the rent stabilization board is not politicized, and that the rent increases are indexed to the actual cost of living increases and expenses. As long as that can happen, I think it's fair to allow these small businesses to continue to exist, not be priced out just because the neighborhood that they improved got too pricey for them.
Right. And as far as that bill goes, it's, on the surface, it sounds great. Stabilized rent for commercial businesses. They've been preyed upon. It's been predatory practice. They're being forced out of their communities as the neighborhoods are getting better. But there were some small details in the overall bill, which really wasn't as favorable as it seemed. So I know the Hospitality Alliance and others are really digging into the bill to really see what works best. We'll see what happens. There's so much to do, in Queens.
Thank you. Well, I'm looking forward to us continuing this collaboration. And Jonathan, it's been great working with you the last couple of years, and I'm looking for the next 10.
Same here, Richard. Thank you for doing this.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to thank again Carolyn Maloney and Jonathan Forgash and Fit Club for joining us today. It was great to have you. We will be having another meeting in December. We're still working on the format of that, but we will be putting that on our website soon once it's established. If you want more information, please go to our website, www.oana-ny.org. Sign up for our newsletter, and you can be kept abreast as to everything that's going on. Remember, anybody that put a question in chat that wasn't answered, we will be forwarding them on to the Congresswoman's office. One other thing I'd like to mention, people may not know this, but I'm a musician also by trade, and let me get this information. I will be actually performing with Rashid Halihal for the Sounds of Morocco, and this is for the International Human Rights Arts Festival, December 8th, 7:30 at the Wild Project Theater in the East Village. And this is in conjunction with the with other events from the 6th to the 12th from 24 different countries. So we hope that you can join us there and see a little bit of what we do. And we appreciate you joining us tonight and look forward to seeing everybody later in December. So thank you so much for your participation and listening, and hope to see you soon. Good night.